Today is an intergenerational service, and we're glad that we have our kids with us here today. So I'm actually going to invite our kids forward to help us get started with the message. So if you would come, kids of any age can come forward and join me here. We'll sit right here on the floor, and I'll sit up on the steps. Yeah, come on right over here. Perfect. All right, come on up. No marshmallows today, sorry. Did I give you marshmallows one time? I don't remember that. Come on up, come on up. Oops, there is lots of space, and that is too bad. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, did you know, I'm sure most of you are past Christmas now, right? Do you still have the Christmas trees up in your house? Anybody still have their Christmas tree up? Okay, a few people. You know, we took ours down yesterday, and we're starting to clean up all the bits of wrapping paper that are tucked under the couch and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's where we put our wrapping paper. But you know, in the church year, actually, today is still part of Christmas. We're still celebrating Christmas because God gave us such an incredible gift in Jesus Christ that we think we should still celebrate. So tomorrow actually is Epiphany, which is the day that we remember when the Magi, sometimes we call them the wise men or the three kings, when they came to visit Jesus. Can anybody tell me, what do you know about these Magi? What do you know about the three kings? Yeah, go ahead. It took them a few years to get there. Yeah, Jesus was probably a toddler or something along those lines, right? By the time they got there, they were following that star for a long time. Where were they from? Anybody know? Okay, they came to Jerusalem, yeah. They came from far in the east, and they traveled all the way to Jerusalem using their camels, right? We think they probably used their camels. And they came to Jerusalem because they didn't know where Jesus was. They didn't know. But what were they following? They were following a star. That's right. Because God put a star in the sky to lead them to where they were. Now, I want to read you the part of the story where they finally make it to Bethlehem, because they go to Jerusalem and everybody gets a little nervous, especially King Herod, because if you're the king, news that a new king has been born is not good news, right? If you're already on the throne. So he was pretty upset, and all Jerusalem with him. But the three Magi got the information they needed, and they went to Bethlehem, where Jesus was living with his parents. So let me read these verses. After they had heard the king Herod, they went on their way, and the star they had seen in the east went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasures, and they presented him with gifts of gold and incense and of myrrh. They gave some gifts to Jesus, didn't they? How many of you gave gifts this year? Okay, everybody, right? Everybody gave something. Now I'm guessing some people have asked you, what gifts did you get? But I want to know, what gifts did you give this year? What did you give this year? Yeah.
I tried to make my mom a hat, but then the yarn got tangled up and I never got to finish it.
Oh, awesome. So you tried to make your mom a knit hat, but it didn't get finished, so you gave her a half of a hat. That'll maybe work as like a yarmulke. Yeah. You gave Sophia and Grace a necklace. That's wonderful. Yeah. You gave your youngest sister a book? That's awesome. And you made the wrapping paper too. That's so cool. Yeah. You gave your brother headphones? Nice.
I gave my sister a Lego set.
A Lego set? You gave your sister a Lego set? That's awesome. You know, we gave gifts this year too, as I'm sure all of us do. But, you know, I have a hard time picking out the perfect gift for people. Does anybody else have a hard time thinking of something to give? It's kind of hard, right? How do you pick out, like you want the perfect gift, right? You want something that they're really going to like and use for a long time. How do you pick the perfect gift? What kind of things do you think about when you're picking out a gift for somebody? What they like? You think about what they might like. That's good. What else?
Maybe what they have
What they already have.
and what they want.
What they want, yeah, or what they need. That's good. That's good. So we think about what we know that they like. We think about what they already have, what they might need. We also might think about who they are. If there's somebody who really loves fishing, maybe a fishing rod is a good gift, right? Or if they don't really love fishing at all, they don't go fishing, it's probably not a very good gift, right? So we need to pick the perfect gift. Well, I think that the wise men picked the perfect gifts for Jesus. Do you remember what the gifts were? I just read them to you. Shout it out. Frankincense, gold, and myrrh. Frankincense, gold, and myrrh. Okay, who knows what gold is? Everybody knows what gold is, right? Do you know what frankincense is? Anybody? What's frankincense? Yeah. Go ahead.
Something that smells good.
Something that you burn and it smells good? Yeah. Another name for Frankenstein. It's close, but not quite there. What about myrrh? Does anybody know about myrrh? Anybody know anything about myrrh? Go ahead.
Basically the same thing as frankincense.
It's similar to frankincense. It smells. I actually have some frankincense and myrrh that's now spilled all over the carpet here. I'm going to pass these around. The little ones are frankincense. You can take a look. It doesn't smell too much because it's not crushed up. And the big ones are myrrh. You can feel it, smell it, pass it around. Now, both frankincense and myrrh actually come from trees. Did you know that? They come from trees in Arabia. And so these were precious things in Jerusalem and in the land because they came from a very, very long ways away. But they would dry this. It's kind of like sap from the tree. And they dry it up and it smells really good. And they would make like a balm out of it. And they would use it for different things. Frankincense was burned in the temple. It was part of what was burned as the people prayed to God. And myrrh was used oftentimes in the temple. It was also used if somebody had a wound, they would put it on there. So we're gonna take a look at what these gifts mean. Now, these were really expensive things, so they were great gifts for a king. The three magi gave fantastic gifts for a king, but they also had a little bit more meaning. So I need 3 volunteers. Can I have 3 people come up here? Let's see, some people we haven't heard from yet. Let's have you come on up. Let's have Nora come on up, and come on up. Okay, perfect. All right, so we have 3 gifts here. Perfect. And let's open them up. I'm going to give one to each of you, and let's give this one to you, and this one to you, and this one to you. Great. So the wise men brought their gifts in their treasure chests. How cool is that to get a gift in a treasure chest? And then they opened them up and they presented them to Jesus. Let's see this first gift. The first gift was a gift of gold, right? What do you have there? A crown. You know, gold isn't just special because it's valuable, but gold points to the fact that Jesus was a king. Right? This became a symbol. All the kings in those days would gather as much gold as they could. And so this gold was a perfect gift for Jesus because he would be the king, not just over Israel, but over the whole world. Let's go ahead and open up your gift. The second gift was frankincense. What do you have there? Hands, like we're praying, right? Frankincense was used in the temple. It was burned, and the smoke as it went up to God was like the people's prayers going up to God. The frankincense points to the fact that Jesus would be our high priest. He would be the one who would offer up sacrifices, even his own self, to God, and offer prayers to God as well. Let's open up the last gift. This one's a little different. Does anybody know what that is that Nora's holding there? Aloe, that's right. Myrrh was used for a lot of things, and one of the things it was used as was a painkiller. So if you got hurt, you would put some myrrh on it, and it would help soothe the pain. Myrrh points to the fact that Jesus, he would be a high king, he would be a high priest, but he would also suffer for our sake. He would die on the cross so that we could be made new. You see, the Magi, even though they came from far away, found the exact perfect gifts for Jesus, didn't they? Let's give our volunteers a round of applause. You guys can put those back in their box. Perfect. Set it right here. Awesome. Yep. Now, I'm going to send you back to your seats in a second here, but I have something that I want you to do. I want you to think about what would be a perfect gift to give Jesus. What's something that if Jesus was here in front of us and you wanted to give him a gift, what kind of thing would you give? Some of you might have done this activity page in your bags already, but you can just find a blank sheet of paper and draw a couple things. Matthew. Diamonds? Yeah, that's good. I want you to think about what that perfect gift might be. And just like when we try to pick out a perfect gift, we can think about what we know about Jesus, right? We can think about what Jesus likes. What else can we think about? Who do we know? What do we know about Jesus? Who was he? What did he do? Tell me a little bit. Yeah. He did miracles. He made miracles. That's right. He healed people. He did things that no one else could do. What else do we know about Jesus? Some people call him the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. He died on the cross and he rose again. He made a sacrifice for our sins. Maybe you can think with your parents too. What do we know about Jesus and what would be the perfect gift for him, all right? Let's stand and you can head back to your seats and I want you to work on that and I'm going to ask you that question in a moment. If you don't have a bag, there's more in the lobby. I always love the Magi in the story of Christmas. They were the royal part, the rich part, the incredible people that you just wanted to be, right? When I was a kid, that was the role that I wanted in the Christmas play because the shepherds got to wear like burlap and the kings got to wear like sequined robes. It's so exciting. But you know, the older that I've gotten, I've realized that the Magi are actually where we can see ourselves in this story. Not because we're rich or famous or wealthy or powerful, but because everyone else in the Christmas story is a Jew. They're already a part of God's chosen people. They're already a part of the story that God's telling. They're part of the covenant. And yet here we see 3 Magi, or maybe more, maybe less. All we know really is that they brought 3 gifts from the east. They weren't really kings. They weren't just philosophers either. They were probably similar to like astrologers. These are people who studied various different ancient books of prophecy and wisdom, and they looked at the sky and they tried to see what was happening in the heavens might point to what was happening on the earth. They were pretty far out there. We would probably be pretty uncomfortable if they came into our church. We'd say, y'all are crazy. And yet, God pointed them exactly where they needed to go, didn't he? I love how God does that. Nobody's too far gone. Nobody's too far out there. God put the sign exactly where they could find it. And I think it's so ironic and beautiful, really, that these strangers from far off who were not a part of God's story, who were probably involved in all sorts of pagan practices, they're the ones who actually bring the perfect gifts, don't they? They saw something. They saw something that others couldn't see. Mary and Joseph and the shepherds needed an angel to come and tell them who this Christ child was. He was the Messiah, the one who would save them. But the Magi coming from far off, they put together the pieces and they bring kingly gifts. Gifts that are actually more perfect for Jesus than they possibly could have even known. Not many people knew who Jesus was when he was born. Those the angels told, yes. No one else really took much notice. King Herod did, but only because it was a threat to his power. But the Magi saw something special, incredible happening. They had open eyes to what God was trying to show them, what God wanted them to see. And so they came and they offered gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh. You see, I think the Magi saw a glimpse of something that they couldn't have possibly known fully. But that this child was in fact the high king over all heaven and earth. This child would grow up to be not just a powerful king in worldly terms, but in fact the one who would restore all things and sit on the throne for all eternity. They couldn't have possibly known it fully, and yet they did exactly what they should have done in this situation. They brought the perfect gifts and they bowed down in worship. Not just adoration, but in worship. Here we have these rich and wealthy and powerful men from far off, kneeling down in the dust to bow down to a toddler that nobody else knew anything different about. Isn't it incredible? They saw a glimpse of what God was doing in the incarnation when Jesus was born. They saw a glimpse of the great exchange that was happening. That God, though He dwelled in glory and in majesty, though He was more majestic and incredible and powerful and wealthy than anyone on earth could imagine, He laid all that aside to be born as a human, to be fully vulnerable, to be fully dependent upon human beings. He set aside all of that, this great exchange. He made this incredible exchange that we might find the true and incredible gift that He wanted us to have. St. Athanasius said in his book on the Incarnation, he said, "The Son of God became man so that we might become God." What did he mean by that? He didn't mean that we would actually become gods ourselves or become the exact same as the being of God, but that we would become like the nature of God. What do we know about God? He is good. He is perfect. He is true. He is filled with justice and mercy and compassion. So the Son of God became man, laid aside all of His authority and power so that we might become like Him, so that we might become fully the image bearers that He created us to be, created in His image, bearing goodness and light to this world. Full participants in God's nature, in His goodness and His mercy and love. My friends, this is what God was doing in this moment. How do you respond to such a gift? The wise men knew. They came and they laid down their gifts and they bowed in worship. Now, kids, I'm curious, what exactly would you give to Jesus if He were here? What kind of gift would you give Him? Let's go ahead and shout it out. Give Him diamonds. Something that is expensive and extravagant, right? Because He's an extravagant God. That's wonderful. What else? What's that? Blankets. Why would we give Him blankets? To keep Him warm. That's right. Because He could get cold because He was human. That's right. That's good. What else would we give Him? Treasure chests. Yeah, whatever our greatest gift is, our most valuable thing that we have to offer, we give it to Him. What else can we give? What would we give? Adults, kids alike. We can give ourselves. We can give ourselves. That's what He's done for us, isn't it? It's what He did on the cross. He gave Himself for us. How can we give anything less? There's this hymn, "In the Bleak Midwinter." It's a beautiful hymn. We don't sing it much because it talks about snow, and I can tell you that there wasn't snow on snow on snow in Palestine in the first century when Jesus was born. But the last verse says something incredibly beautiful. Reflects on what can I give Him, poor though as I am. And on the last line it says, what I give Him. I give Him my heart. And in the Jewish worldview, the heart isn't just part of us. The heart is the core of us. It's the soul of us. It's the essence of our being. I will give Him my heart. My friends, long after the wrapping paper is cleaned up, the needles are vacuumed from your floor, this year's favorite gift is collecting dust somewhere in a corner. What will really matter is not what we got, but what we gave to the one who has given all to us. What we give to one another, gifts of justice and mercy and compassion. Do we offer that to one another, to our world that's in such great need of mercy and justice? And what we give our God, for the sake of His kingdom, we offer all that we have. We give the best of ourselves, our treasure, not just the leftovers of ourselves, or our time, or treasure, or whatever. We give the best of it, because He's given the best to us. That's what God was doing in the incarnation. He gave His very own Son, His only Son, his beloved Son, the best of what he had, he's given for us. We can give nothing less than our richest treasure for this King and bow down in worship. Before we come to the table, I'd like us just to sing together the last verse of that hymn, In the Bleak Midwinter. Thank you, Chris. Let this be your prayer today. What can I give him, poor as I am? If I were a shepherd, I would bring the lamb. If I were a wise man, I would do my part. What can I give him? Give him my heart. Amen. May it be so.